How to protect yourself against EMP attacks. Introduction. EMP can be artificial or natural depending on the source. It can occur as a magnetic field, an electric field, an electromagnetic field, or a conducted electric current. Electromagnetic pulse attacks can temporarily or permanently destroy electronics and digital circuitry in the area of impact by generating high current and high voltage surges, leading to electrical disruptions that will make it difficult to power business systems, hospitals, or your home. It may also be difficult to gain easy access to your finances and even transportation, depending on the impact the attack has. This is why you need to be prepared for EMP and protect yourself from it. Make sure your appliances and all devices around the home are shielded. Today we'll talk about the best ways to protect yourself against EMP attacks so you can ensure survival. Let's get started. 1. Learn more about EMP shielding. The best way to protect yourself from any form of catastrophic event is to understand it. That includes EMP attacks. You have to know why they occur, how they occur, and learn the best prevention methods or effective ways to protect yourself. EMP attacks can lead to food shortages, power supply interruptions, water scarcity, and more. Therefore, planning and ensuring you have access to everything you need should be your #1 priority. Make sure you have access to clean water, alternative power sources, and enough food to get through the crisis. This is because you can't assume how long it will take you to recover from an EMP attack. However, if you are prepared, it will be easy for you to survive. So, learn about EMP shielding to ensure protection for yourself, your loved ones, your electronics, and your home. Do enough research about EMP protection and the best ways to survive with no ill effects. That includes understanding the devastating effects of EMP attacks, how they impact your livelihood, effective ways to survive, and the best prevention methods to ensure you make it through. This is the best way to ensure safety and avoid panicking when a disaster happens. It will be easy for you to survive because you know how to respond to an attack and have access to all the essentials, such as food, clean water, and electricity. 2. Protect your vehicle. Protecting your car from an EMP attack is an important part of preparing for survival conditions. You don't know how your vehicle will be affected, and so, planning before an attack comes will help you down the road. Most vehicles are built to survive EMP attacks, but some aren't. If you aren't sure in which category you lay, just be on the safe side and use a Faraday cage. Build one for your vehicles to ensure safety. You can build a Faraday shield garage, for example, and park your cars inside. Use aluminum siding and a tin roof for the best protection. Use aluminum-backed insulation on the inside. It may be costly to set a garage up, but it's worth it. You can also use it to store certain appliances or electronics you want to protect from attacks. The most important thing is to ensure all the openings of the garage are sealed tight so your car will be able to survive. Another option is to keep a portable Faraday cage in your car and use it to store backup devices like a mobile phone and hand crank radio for communication. If your vehicle gets affected by an attack, you can communicate and keep up with the latest updates. You'll call for help and also know which routes to avoid, especially if you decide to use your vehicle to escape the attack and move to a safer location. 3. Protect your electronics. You need functioning electrical devices to make it through any form of disaster. Your appliances and electronics need to be operational even after an EMP attack and before recovery. That is the only way you'll stay connected, cook, heat water, carry out daily activities, and ensure survival. So, protect your electronics to make it through. The best part is that you can do basic EMP protection yourself without hiring a professional and keep your appliances safeguarded. Some of the most effective EMP protection methods are using a bucket, using tin foil, or using a shoebox as a Faraday cage, bag, or case. So, you can use common household items to build your cage and keep your electronics protected. For example, you can buy a galvanized metal bucket and use it as the body of the Faraday cage. apply aluminum tape inside the bucket and line the seams of the bucket to prevent energy from flowing through in the event of an attack. That is because any gap in the bucket or lid can lead to your electronics getting damaged even when stored in the Faraday cage. After applying aluminum inside the bucket, add strips of aluminum tape to the interior where the handle passes through and on the underside of the lid where the handle is joined. Line the interior with cardboard or a smaller plastic bucket that you can place inside the galvanized bucket to separate your devices from the exterior metal. Cut the cardboard into a circle and place it at the bottom of the bucket. Make sure it's standing upright and wrap it around the interior. Secure the cardboard with masking tape and make sure it's lined with the inside walls and the bucket floor. Once you're done, put your electronics inside the cardboard you've used to line your cage. After inserting all your devices, close the bucket with the lid and use aluminum tape to seal the bucket and ensure extra protection for your electronics. Purchase your galvanized bucket from your local hardware store or online. The size depends on the type and number of devices you want to store. Another option is to simply cover your appliances or electronics in tinfoil and ensure there are no visible gaps. Buy non-electric appliances for backup in case of an emergency. They will make it easy for you to carry out daily activities like cooking and providing lighting. Some of the best appliances to invest in are a solar oven, a manual can opener, hand crank flashlights, meat grinders, grain grinders, hand-powered water pumps, and a crank coffee grinder. 4. Build a Faraday cage. Faraday cages are sealed enclosures with inner layers made from a non-conductive material and outer layers made from a conductive material. They shield your appliances, devices, and other important items by reflecting incoming pulses and absorbing them. The conductive outer layer reflects incoming pulses and the conductive inner layer absorbs them. Buying a Faraday cage or building one from scratch is the best way to prevent attacks or protect against them. You can either buy small ones or large ones that are sold as kits and then build them yourself. If you want to purchase a Faraday cage online, make sure you choose one that caters to your needs and helps you store all the items you want. If you choose to build one yourself, make sure you take the necessary precautions and provide adequate shielding. Buy aluminum duct tape, aluminum insulation, plastic wrap, and cardboard boxes of assorted sizes. Tightly wrap each device and make sure there are no protruding parts for complete protection. That means any cords, antennas, and wires should be covered within the foil. If certain devices have removable batteries, remove and store them separately. Use cardboard boxes, wax paper, or envelopes to wrap the devices you want to protect and isolate them from the foil. This is because for the cage to effectively protect your electronics, they should be prevented from touching the foil. Lastly, put the wrapped devices in a galvanized bucket or steel trash can that has a tight-fitting lid. Duct tape the lid so that it doesn't get loose or knock it off. As a precautionary measure, make sure there is a minimum of 3 layers of aluminum foil surrounding each device. For your cage to work, make sure the foil-wrapped device doesn't touch the inside of the outer Faraday container. Use heavy-duty aluminum foil for the Faraday cage to serve its purpose. If building a Faraday cage sounds demanding, buy EMP bags instead. EMP bags can protect your electronics against harmful electromagnetic radiation and electrical currents. They are one of the best EMP protection methods you can depend on. Plus, you won't have to spend lots of money. They're affordable and offer protection for your electronics. All you have to do is make sure you buy the right bags that will help keep your items safe and give them the needed protection. 5. Test your Faraday cage. Test your cage to determine whether or not it's effective. The last thing you want is to invest time and effort into the process of building a Faraday cage, only to fail to protect your electronics from attacks because it isn't working as it should. So, test your cage to prevent that from happening. One of the best ways to test your cage is to use 2 phones. Place one cell phone inside the Faraday cage and use another one to call it with. For the experiment to work, make sure your phones have good service so you can determine whether or not the cage works. The phone inside the cage should not be coming into contact with any metal or foil inside the cage. If the Faraday cage is effective, you should not hear the phone ringing. If it rings, then you need to check your cage for any gaps that may be allowing the signal to pass through. Once you identify gaps, cover them and experiment again. Keep calling your phone until the signal no longer gets through the cage. 6. Invest in alternative fuel sources. As mentioned earlier, EMP attacks can lead to power outages, which can make it difficult for you to work or do certain activities around the house, such as cooking, operating your devices, and cooking. So, invest in alternative fuel sources to avoid that. Buy a generator or rely on solar energy. It will be easy for you to provide for your electrical needs and never worry about power interruptions after an attack. You'll be able to cook, work, use your appliances, keep your home warm, and do various household tasks. Buy an alternative energy source that's big enough to provide for your needs and help you carry out different tasks. If you are running on a tight budget, consider your needs and choose a power source that caters to them. For example, you may decide to buy a solar-powered generator that's big enough to provide for your lighting needs alone and use firewood to cook while you save. The most important thing is to choose an energy source that you can afford and one that will meet certain requirements. Buy alternative power sources that are more likely to survive EMP attacks or ones that are not vulnerable to attacks. Examples include solar panels and other non-electric appliances like generators, vintage electronics, a fireplace, manual appliances, and power tools. The reason any of these items won't get affected by EMP attacks is that they don't operate with solid-state electronic controls, so they'll still operate even after an attack occurs. Invest in manual appliances like manual mixers, battery-operated devices, and hand-powered coffee makers. They will make it easy for you to carry out regular tasks and don't worry too much about power outages. It will be easy for you to get work done even during a crisis. EMP attacks can reduce the functionality and effectiveness of solar panels. That is why you have to keep certain components protected. That includes gasoline-powered generators as well. Certain electrical components must be protected in a Faraday cage to prevent them from getting dysfunctional. Other important devices to invest in are solar weather radios, a hand crank radio, and a mercury-free analog thermometer. Remember, you need to prepare for EMP attacks the same way you plan for other catastrophic events. That means stocking up on non-perishable foods, creating a reliable water storage supply, and alternative power sources. Build an emergency kit as well that has all the survival essentials. For example, a first aid kit, hand tools, self-defense equipment, and communication devices. 7. Have a disaster plan. Your survival depends on how well you prepare for an emergency. If you know what to do and how to react to certain events, you'll recover from the attack and get through it successfully. However, if you wait for the disaster to occur before preparing, it will be difficult for you to survive it or protect your possessions. So, have a disaster plan that will help you and your family live through the crisis. In addition to protecting your home and applying all the above-mentioned tips, pick a safe location to escape to. This will prove helpful when you have to leave your home to survive. So agree on the best location to go to and determine how and where you'll meet when an attack comes. Make sure everyone in the family is well aware of the escape plan and comfortable with it to make it easy to implement when required. Buy battery-operated walkie-talkies that will ensure communication and make it easy for you to stay connected after an attack occurs. Use a Faraday cage or bag to keep your backup devices protected. Start building your survival pantry and stock non-perishable food. In case you won't leave your home but face food shortages and have to survive without going to the supermarket. Stock enough food to last you at least 3 months. Make sure you cater to everyone's needs and that all the 3 important meals of the day are covered. Stockpile medical emergency gear as well, so you can tend to injuries and prevent illnesses during an attack. Include cleaning supplies, water purifying tablets, sanitary items, a compass, and a map in your survival kit. Buy self-defense equipment you can rely on in case you have to protect yourself from people or animals, depending on your survival location. Some of the best self-defense tools you can depend on are a knife, a baseball bat, tasers, emergency whistles, and tactical whips. The goal is to get enough supplies to get through an emergency. You have to ensure you have everything you need to survive. That includes food, water, power, medication, hand tools, and all the important survival gear. Conclusion. The main reason most people don't prepare for EMP attacks is that they think they are highly unlikely to occur. Even if that's the case, you don't know when they'll come. So, planning and preparing for them is the best way to ensure protection for yourself. Don't wait for disaster to strike before prepping. Start now to reduce the effects of an attack and ensure you make it through. Learn more about EMP attacks and identify the best prevention methods so you are in a better position to survive them. Best of luck.